manager in Sam Presti. He's going to prepare for the future. Obviously, they're going to have a lot of faith in Russell Westbrook. But if this is just a one-year rental and Paul George decides to leave, then you're talking about Oklahoma City rebuilding and positioning themselves to do that. In the case of the Indiana Pacers, you want to guard an Oladipo who's no scrub, who can play, who's capable of averaging 18 to 20 a night. And so you look at it from that standpoint, along with the young promising prospect, that's a bonus appears to be, and you can understand why a move like this is made. But ultimately, you would expect more for Paul George. The problem is he really put the Indiana Pacers in a pinch by making sure he announced to everybody that he had every intentions of leaving Indiana, because since everybody knew that he was going to leave after this year, Indiana was forced to have to make something happen now, as opposed to waiting until the NBA's trading deadline or even until next summer for something to transpire. So they've been in a bind because of that, and I guess they felt this was the best they could do.
Stephen A., Golden State, obviously still the top dog in all the NBA. Depending on what happens with their conversation with Andre Iguodala, San Antonio could potentially get stronger here. We know Houston already has. Where does this move put Oklahoma City now in the West?
Personally speaking, I think it still puts them somewhere between the fourth and the fifth slot within the Western Conference, quite possibly a berth to the second round of the NBA playoffs within the Western Conference. Again, if they're a fifth seed, they're playing a fourth seed. Anything could happen at that particular point.
Not sign an extension to his contract that they're ready to offer him tonight. Now they have Paul George to be able to offer to. It seems like they're going to be willing to roll the dice here and accept the chance of Paul George leaving after a year. But if that gets them, Russell Westbrook to re-sign into the fold, it may be worth it, and they become a more serious contender in the Western Conference. Really stunning. We did not hear Oklahoma City as an option for George throughout this process, but there was momentum towards another deal with Paul George this afternoon with Indiana. They have a lot of young pieces in Oklahoma City. We'll see which ones were contained in the deal. That's going to be key to evaluate it.
Yeah, Ramona just tweeted that she's hearing it's Oladipo and Sabonis, but here it is, a one-year rental with Paul George, considered, I don't know, top 12, depending on who you ask, player. But what do you think? You mentioned Russell Westbrook, but what's the line of thinking? You know the Oklahoma City front office. What's the line of thinking that they can get him in and both into their system and make it work long term?
Well, Oladipo does have a connection, obviously, to Indiana with playing at Indiana University.